What if I told you that every single course that's done over $1 million in sales followed the exact same predictable, repeatable formula? Success leaves clues, and $1 million courses aren't flukes. I've studied some of the most successful courses over the last few years, and every single one uses the exact same formula. And I've used that exact same formula to generate over $10 million in digital product sales in the last 6 months. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through that formula so that you can launch your own profitable winning course. So if you're a creator or a coach or a consultant or an expert and you've got an audience and you've tried to launch a course before, or you're thinking about launching a course, or you've launched a course and it flopped, this video is for you. So I'm going to break down exactly what goes into $1 million courses. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If your course isn't selling, it means you've missed one of the elements of this formula. I've been selling courses online since 2008. I've launched hundreds of courses, and some of them have been great, some of them not worked. And every single time I launched a course that flopped is because I didn't pay attention to this formula. On the flip side, every single time that I launched the course and the notifications were just pinging every single day and I was getting hundreds of customers, it's because I followed this exact same formula. This is the second video in a series that I've created on how to launch and scale a digital product. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Jim Gregory. This channel exists to help creators and online business owners get a higher ROI from the time that they're investing into their online business. Now, if you already have an audience, whether that be on YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, or maybe you've got an email list full of subscribers and you want my personal one-on-one help launching or maybe fixing a course that you've tried to launch and banking $20,000 to $50,000 from a course really quickly, go ahead, DM me directly on Instagram, or shoot me some instructions below this video, and we'll talk about it, right? And we'll maybe get you some help. Now, let's dive into this because it's a really, really good training today.
So I call this the 7-figure course formula because every single $1 million course that I've ever created and every single 7-figure course or 8-figure course that I've analyzed and studied, they all follow the exact same 3-step process. And if you want to maximize your success of launching your own digital product, launching your own course, and really knocking it out the gate, make sure you follow this exact same 3-step formula, right? Don't deviate from it. Don't try and do anything different. Every single course follows this formula. Success leaves clues. And if you want to be successful in almost anything, you find what's working and then you model it. And so the 3 steps are, number 1, you want to understand the market. Then you need to know your audience. And then finally, you want to create a winning offer. And pay attention to number 3. We're going to cover number 3 towards the end of this video because that's the one that most entrepreneurs and most creators, that's the one that most people get wrong. So let's dive into these, okay? First off, you want to know your market. And when knowing your market, there's 3 main things, or there's 2 main things that you want to pay attention to. The first thing is you want to make sure that your course or that your niche that you are selling to is in one of the big 3, right? One of the big 3 profit markets. Without exception, the most important element for a successful course is the market that you're in. You could have the greatest idea for a course in the world. You could have the greatest content. You could structure it in a way that's absolutely perfect, that takes all of your customers through the exact emotional triggers they need to so they can understand what you're teaching. But if you're in the wrong market, you're not going to make money, right? It's not going to sell. And this is actually something that's very, very easy to fix, right? It's either a yes or a no. And there are 2 main things that you want to pay attention to when deciding or when analyzing your market. First off, you want to sell to a niche that belongs in one of the big 3 profit markets. I call these profit markets, and they are wealth, relationships, and health, okay? So wealth, what type of niches are in the wealth market? Right? Most of us know that. It's how to make money, right? Make money online, finance courses, stocks or crypto, gambling, anything that helps somebody make more money, right? Anything that helps somebody accumulate wealth. Then you've got the relationship market, right? And you want to be in a niche within the relationship market. That's like dating, relationships, marriage. Marriage offers do really well. That's either how to get married or how to save your marriage. Anything around parenting your kids, raising great children, being more present for your kids, sleep training, sexual health as well. That's another market that does really, really well. Anything around having better sex as a couple or having more sex if you are someone who's not getting any, okay? And then finally, the health market, right? So that's fitness, nutrition, beauty, mental, okay? So fitness, how to have a better body, how to be more shape, nutrition, different types of dieting, how to eat better, how to use nutrition to fuel your body, beauty, how to look better, how to look younger, if you're aging, how to age in reverse, lots of really good beauty offers, and then mental health, anything that helps somebody feel better, right? Anything that helps somebody improve their mental health. You've got things like spirituality, numerology, The Secret, manifestation, all those fall into mental health as well. Now, one thing you notice that I haven't put on here is the niche of you, because this is something that I'm seeing a lot in the marketplace right now. And it's something I'm seeing a lot online, is where people are saying, oh, well, you got some gurus saying that the best niche is the niche of you. That's nonsense, right? That's absolute nonsense. If you want to sell easily, because there's two ways of doing anything, and my job is always going to be to help you do things the easy way. I've already done everything the hard way, right? I've been doing this for a long time. I've made all the mistakes so that you don't have to. There is an easy way to sell and there's a hard way to sell. The easy way to sell is you find something that's already working, or you go where the success has already been. There is so many courses out there that are absolutely crushing it, and you want to find where the success is. Success leaves clues. Success is be a niche or sell to a niche in one of these three big profit markets. The hard way is be your own niche. That is nonsense. Don't do that. Don't listen to anyone that tells you to do that. Focus on one of the big three niches. If you want an easy life, like some of you want a hard life. If you want to make things hard, that's fine. Go do what other people are saying. But if you want to make things easy, focus on selling to a niche in one of these big three profit markets. The second thing you want to look at when analyzing your market is, are there any other courses already in your market that are selling really well, right? We want to make sure that, yes, we're in one of the big three, right? That's the first thing. But we also want to make sure that other people are actually in that market or in my sub niche selling courses. Because if I'm in a sub niche and it's in one of the big three markets, but there's no other competition or nobody else is selling courses there, then that is an indication that's probably not the good market to be in. And I know there's some context out there where people are saying, or you hear people say sometimes in marketing circles, go where there's no competition or go where there's a blue ocean. The problem with that is that we're not trying to launch the next unicorn startup. We're trying to make 50K a month, 100K a month, 150K a month, $500,000 a month. And you don't need a completely unique brand new idea to do that. You need to go and find where success already exists and then model that and replicate that for your own particular situation. And I'm going to show you exactly how to find this in a little bit when we do like a practical application of this. But ultimately, if you look at the big three markets, you pick your sub niche and then you go into that sub niche and you find other marketers and other creators and other online entrepreneurs who are selling courses in that market, that's a very good indication that there's money to be made in that market. If no one's selling that market, then that's a pretty good indication that there's no money to be made. So we want to go where the money is, right? Success leaves clues, money leaves clues. We want to go where the money is. And then once you find that, yes, you're in the right marketplace, and yes, there's other people selling, there's ways to extract the gold out of that marketplace and apply it to your situation. And I'll show you towards the end of this video. But those are the two main things that you want to pay attention to, okay? You want to be in the right market, so you want to be in one of the big three profit markets, and then you want to sell to a niche within that. And then you want to make sure, just kind of tick off, your little checklist that, hey, are there any other marketers, online entrepreneurs, offer owners, publishers, creators, right? Are there any other people selling courses in this particular market? Because if there's not, that's a really good sign that you probably want to stay away from it. Now, the second part of the 7-figure formula is that you've got to know your audience, okay? You've got to know your audience intimately. And you've probably already heard the importance of knowing your audience, but if I go a little bit deeper, the reason is it's very easy to sell something to someone that they actually want. We don't want to be in a business where we're having to constantly convince people of multiple different things. We want to convince people of as few things as possible when we're trying to make a sell. So if we're taking someone from a stranger or even someone that follows us who's kind of knows who we are, we want to make as few amount of sales as possible before that person actually becomes a customer. And so if we know our audience very well, we know what they already want. And if we know what they already want, we don't have to convince them that they want our thing. We only have to convince them that our thing satisfies what they want. If you don't know what your audience wants, then you've got to make too many sales, right? You've got to convince them that this thing that you're selling is actually what they want. Then you've got to convince them that your thing solves their problem or your thing satisfies their desire. And then you've got to convince them to buy from you. Like too many steps of convincing. We want to minimize the amount of convincing that we have to do. This is a fantastic quote from Eugene Schwartz, who's commonly referred to as the godfather of advertising. Copy cannot create desire for a product. It can only take the hopes, dreams, fears, and desires that already exist in the hearts of millions of people and focus those already existing desires onto a particular product. This is the copywriter's task, not to create this mass desire, but to channel it and direct it. Now, I know he's talking about copywriters, but that extends to marketers, offer owners, creators, and I want you to start thinking about looking at this as like a proper business, or looking at this as marketers would look at it. In the previous video or the previous episode, I talked about the difference between the creator mindset and the marketer mindset. When it comes to selling a lot online, you want to put your marketer mindset on and Copywriters are one of the best when it comes to crafting a message or understanding what the audience actually wants and then giving the thing that they want. Now, to know your audience, we want to delve a little bit deeper. And there's 3 levels that we're trying to figure out about our audience. First off, we want to know, what are their urgent problems? Okay, what are the things that keep them up at night? What are the things that the guy or girl that we're selling to are, like, what problems are they laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and they just can't stop thinking about? Like, what is consuming them? We want to know what these urgent problems are, not just like nice to solve problems or issues that aren't really bothering them. What is the bleeding neck thing that they have to solve right now? Because the reason we want to make sure we know what the urgent problems are is that we want to make sales quickly, and we want to get people to not procrastinate. Like, when you've got customers or when you've got an audience, if you don't give them a reason to act quickly, right, they will start to procrastinate, and they will put off buying your product to do something else. Now, you can counteract that by adding in urgency elements, but some of those feel a little bit forced, right? So you can count down timers and stuff like that. That's all external. That's all external ways of getting someone to feel an increased sense of urgency. But if your course is solving an urgent problem, or if you know the urgent problem that your audience have, that urgency becomes internal. And when that urgency is internal, they're much more likely to buy from you very quickly. So urgent problems, and then we want to know, what are their deep desires? Not just the surface level things that they're interested in. What would they give up anything to have? What are the deep desires that they don't even tell their spouse about, or they don't even tell their priest about? What are the things that they are secretly desiring and wishing? Not just, I kind of want that. What are the real deep, dark desires that our audience has? And then once we know that, we also want to know what relationships they have. And this is one that a lot of people don't really pay enough attention to. Because if you know how the urgent problems and the deep desires that they have, because you're either going to sell a product or a course that solves a problem, or you're going to sell a product or a course that satisfies a deep desire, right? You're typically going to do one or the other. And if you know how that problem or that desire affects their closest, most intimate relationships, you've got gold, right? When you know that, you can use that in your marketing, in your messaging, in your copying, in your angle. That stuff is golden. Like, let's say you've got a course that helps women in their 60s understand the best types of makeup for older women, right? The desire might be to look younger again, but how does that affect their relationship? Right? That desire of looking younger again might affect the relationship with their spouse, so that he can start to feel like he can start to pursue you again, or he can start to see you as attractive again and not look at the other younger women that he potentially could be picking up. I'm picking a really horrible example here. Let's say it's a fitness offer, right? You've got a fitness offer and you're helping someone who gets shredded or look really good, right? You're helping a guy get a 6-pack. Well, the deep desire is he wants to get that 6-pack so that his girlfriend, or so that the girl that rejected him, will look at him and drool and lust after him again, right? That's the relationship that he's got. That's the relationship that he's trying to get that desire. That's the underlying relationship that's affected by that desire. The same thing with an urgent problem. If someone's got a really, really bad back, and your offer, your product, or your course helps them relieve back pain, well, on its own, that's a problem they want to solve. But why do they want to solve that problem? Well, so they can play with their kids, right? So they don't feel like they're sitting indoors watching their kids run around outside and knowing they can't go and play with their child, right? When you know the relationships and how these problems or desires affect their relationships, you're going to have a much better foundation for creating something that people really want to buy. And understanding these desires and understanding these problems and the relationships, that gives your product the emotional urgency that is required, or they will never get their credit card out. And that's something we want to create, right? Not just in getting the market right or getting the product on offer right, which I'll talk about in a second, but we want to know what are the hot buttons, what are the emotional triggers that will get this individual to act. And when you know that allows us to lead on to the next step, where most people skip the next step. And as I said right at the very beginning, the next step we're going to cover, this is the one that most people get wrong, and it causes them to create products that just flop and never ever scale. And that's creating a winning offer. An offer is a promise that you make to an individual or market that improves an aspect of their life or business. It is a promise of a transformation, okay? So this offer improves an aspect of their life or business, and it improves that aspect by either removing a problem that they've got or giving them a desire that they actually want, right? Those are like the two main ways that an offer works. And every single offer is split into two halves, right? You've got the promise and you've got the ask. The promise is what they get, the desired outcome, and the urgent solution, versus the ask, which is how they actually get it, the time it takes them to get it, how much it's going to cost, and what is the effort. Everything on this side increases the value of the offer. Everything on this side reduces the value of the offer. And when you're trying to decide, what the desired outcome is that you're going to solve, or what urgent solution that you're going to give them, every single niche in every single market has a primary problem or a primary desire. And if you don't pick the primary problem or the primary desire, it makes it a lot harder for you to sell. On the flip side, when you do pick the primary problem or desire, selling that product or offer becomes extremely easy. When I first started creating courses in the men's self-help and dating niche, I had an offer. My initial course, my initial product was one that helped men improve their social lives, or improve their social circle. It was called the Social Circle Blueprint. Okay, and it was all about, the idea behind it was that all these other dating coaches, all these other products, all these other courses, all these other offers are teaching you how to approach a girl. They're teaching you how to talk to a girl. Well, my unique mechanism or my way of doing things is, if you have a social circle, right, that's going to solve the problem even better, because you'll be able to get a girlfriend, you'll have a better social life, you'll get more access to women, etc., etc. I came at it from, hey, this sounds like a really good way to fix things. And it did okay, right? I sold a little bit here and there. I was probably made about $100,000 a year from that offer. It was doing okay. But it wasn't the primary problem in that marketplace. The primary problem in that marketplace is I can't get a date, or girls reject me. Like, is one of those two things. I can't get a date and girls reject me. So I recreated a new offer, which was called the Texting Blueprint. And the tagline was the 7 best texts to send that guarantee she replies to you, desperate to meet up. And that offer, that new one, right, that sold like gangbusters. I've got a video coming up on it later, but I took that Texting Blueprint, which was a $7 ebook, and turned it into $13 million of sales over a 5-year period. And up until that point, I'd never cracked $100,000 before. But as soon as I created an offer that tackled the primary problem in the marketplace, whoosh, it just shot off like a rocket. And every single market is the same. If you go into your marketplace, you could sell what you want, right? Which is fine. You'll do okay. You'll have some success, okay? Especially if you follow the 3-step formula. If you pick the right sub-niche in the right market, if you know your audience, and you create a winning offer, all right? You've got, you'll get some good success. But if you create an offer that solves the primary problem or satisfies the primary desire of that market, you will be printing money, right? You will be able to create anything around that, and people will just buy it. And this is when life gets really, really easy for you, right? And I want to make things easy for you as possible. And so every market you go into, identify what that primary problem is or what the primary desire is, and that is the thing that you put in your promise of your offer. Now, the ask, on the other hand, well, that is your unique mechanism. That is, how are you going to deliver on the promise, okay? What is it that they get? How much time is it involved in it? How much does it cost? How much effort? And the more elements of time, cost, or effort that is in your course, the harder it's going to be to sell. So if you want to make a course that's like easy to sell, if you want to have an offer that people just go yes to, we call these irresistible offers, then you want to make them get the promise as quickly as possible. You want to make it as cheap as possible in terms of how much it costs them, and you want to have as little amount of effort as possible. Now, obviously, you don't want to make it so cheap that you don't make money, right? And you don't want to make claims of how long it's going to take them to get the promise that are so ridiculous that nobody believes you. But you have to pay attention to what are the things that increase the value of your course. What are the things that make more people want your offer? How quickly will they get the result? How much it's going to cost them, how much time and effort. The lower that you can have those within reason, the more people are going to take you up on your offer. And as with everything, there's an easy way or a hard way to do this. And I want to make sure that you guys do this the easy way. So I could sit here and I could tell you, these are all the ways of creating a great offer. But the easier way to do it is to just go out and use AI, which is a big part of my business, is use AI to actually identify what those real offers are, right? You want to remove the guesswork, and you actually want to go and find what the best offer is, what the primary promise is, and what are the deep desires of the audience. The good news is, and the beautiful news is, that we can use AI to actually do this. And so let me take you through like a tactical application. I've gone over the theory of the 3 steps, understand the market, know your audience, create a winning offer. But in practice, here's how I'd actually go about doing that. So the first thing I'm gonna wanna do is I want to find if there are people in my sub niche who are actually selling courses. Okay, that's going to help me validate if the idea that I have for my course or if the sub niche that I'm in is in one of the big 3 markets, but also there are other people making money in that course. So where I like to do this is I like to come to Facebook Ad Library. And reason why I come to Facebook Ad Library is that if people are spending money on a course, right? If people are spending money on ads, then that means that the course they are selling is likely working, right? Because no one's going to spend money to run ads to something that's not selling. And so you're going to come to Facebook Ad Library, and then you want to, let's just go all, and then you want to put in your keywords into the search term. And what that's going to do is that's going to show you all of the ads that are related to that keyword. Let's say I've got a course that helps people improve their golf swing, okay? So that's what I want to sell. So when you're in here, you want to select, I typically will select all, right? Or if you're country specific, you can select just your country. And I always want to go all ads, right? Because it's got 2 options here for issues and elections and politics. Facebook Ad Library basically has a depository of all of the ads running on their platform. So I would come in here and I would type golf tutorial, okay? And what that's going to give me is going to give me, so it's got 14 results. So this is the keyword search, and it's going to give me all of the ads that showed up for this particular keyword. What I'm really looking for, okay, you might get a lot more. Like if I type something else, so let's say I typed in keto recipes, right? How do you spell recipes? Recipes. My spelling is terrible, right? If I typed in keto recipes, it gives me 520 results, right? So loads and loads of results. And you're going to want to filter through these results. But let's go back to golf. 14 results, easy to work with. What I'm looking for is anywhere that says learn more, right? If we've just got a regular ad, it's unlikely send message, send WhatsApp, shop now. Shop now might work. Let's get ready, 30% off. Right. What I'm really looking for is where it says learn more, because typically if it says learn more, that's likely a creator, a marketer, or an entrepreneur who's selling some type of digital offer or some type of digital course. So learn more, pendulum swing sequence. Let's look at the copy. The legendary golf instructor Erica Larkin, Golf Digest #1 ranked female instructor, reveals her pendulum swing sequence. Anytime you see a phrase like that indicates some type of mechanism, that is usually a good sign that these people are selling something that has their own IP, right? The pendulum swing sequence, that's their mechanism, right? And I even said it, a game-changing technique designed specifically to help women develop a smooth, repeatable swing, yada, yada, yada. Performance golf, pendulum swing, let's have a look. So I'd hit learn more. Yeah, so this is definitely a digital course, okay? Get instant access to the pendulum swing sequence, great. $47. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to find 5 to 10 digital courses in my niche, right? Once I found 5 to 10 digital courses in my niche, what I wanna do at this point is I wanna analyze the sales letters. I wanna analyze their sales message. Because when they're running ads, and this is the thing about ads, right? When you're running ads, you are taking strangers and turning them into customers. And in order for you to take a stranger and turn them into a customer, something we call converting cold traffic. In order for you to convert cold, let me put this microphone a bit closer. In order for you to convert cold traffic, you have to really nail your marketing, your messaging, the offer, the angle, the big idea. You've got to nail those elements. Otherwise, people will just keep scrolling, right? There's so many distractions. And if you're going to put your money behind an ad, then the chances are that you've nailed these. And so what we're trying to do is we want to analyze these sales messages to get those elements out. We want to know what is the big problem or the desire that they're satisfying. What is the angles that they're using? What are the angles that they're using? Sorry, my English today is not great. What are the angles that they're using? What are the ideas that they're tackling? What are some of the frustrations, the problems, etc.? And we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is I could just use my experience and go through this and, let's look. The pendulum swing sequence, the world's leading swing athletics training program based on pioneered one-legged golfer over 100 years ago. Now Golf Digest, yada, yada. I could go through this manually and I could try and figure it out. But I use AI for virtually everything. And in the next episode of this series, I'm going to show you how I create a course from scratch using just AI. One of the big parts that I use AI and the offers that I've created for my clients and myself, they've done over $10 million in the first 6 months of this year alone. And every single one of those offers was created with AI. And so AI can be used to enhance what you already do, And the reason why a lot of people say that AI doesn't work is they're not using it in the way that you should be using. So I'm going to show you how to use it properly. I'm going to go in more detail in the next video. But right now, rather than trying to analyze this myself, I would use AI. And what I've done is I've created a custom GPT, which is a custom AI piece of AI bot that uses ChatGPT to analyze a sales page based on what I already know about marketing, right? And that's one of the great things about ChatGPT and some of the other large LLMs, the AI software, is that you can actually train it to work in the way that you want. Now, these custom GPTs, if you want access to a trial version, go ahead, there's a description below. But if you want access to the full version, DM me. And it's something I give to all of my personal one-on-one clients that I mentor through this process. So get 5 to 10 of these, okay? And then you want to go over to ChatGPT and you want to get it to analyze the sales letter. You want to get it to analyze the sales letter, whether you copy and paste the sales letter or you've got a VSL or video sales letter and you get the transcript from that. You want to get all those, you want to put it into ChatGPT and you want it to give you the information. So this one hasn't got enough information for you. Let's go to performancegolf.com. Let's go to the actual website, see if we can find a better course. Great. Okay, perfect. All right, so if I was in the golf niche, these are somebody that I would definitely model, right? Great artists, good artists borrow, great artists steal. And we're not stealing, we're modeling. We're taking what's working for them, and then we're finding out, extracting the best out of it, and we're gonna make it work for us. So typically, their first one that they're gonna put is their most important course, $97. So I'm gonna grab this. Great. All right, so I am literally gonna copy and paste. I am gonna go over to ChatGPT. Okay, let's put this up here. I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. Now, this is my own custom GPT. If you want access to it, there's instructions below. But you can create your own to analyze sales letters and give you the information that you need to create your own winning offer. But I will go ahead and I will say, analyze the following sales letter copy and give me a breakdown of the conversion elements. Okay, so literally just paste that in. And as you can see, it tells me what the primary problem is, desired outcome. And the reason it's doing it in this way is because I've trained this GPT to do that, right? If you wanted to train your own GPT, you can. I recommend getting mine because mine's been trained on tens of millions of dollars worth of sales. But yeah, so primary problem, eliminate the number one problem with your golf game now, the two-step drill that eliminates the root cause of bad contact, how to eliminate fat shots, thin shots, and miss hits. Gives you the desired outcome, fix your contact in 10 shots or less. Gives you some angles of big ideas, the emotional triggers, so relief, confidence, validation, aspiration, urgency, security. It gives me 10 offer alternatives, okay? That's something that I always want. If I wanted to recreate that offer for myself, what are some alternatives that would work? Perfect contact blueprint, flush strike fix, a proven 10-step drill to transform your golf strike. So this is really cool, right? And all of my GPTs, I always like to put a confidence score. So it asks the ChatGPT to evaluate its response and give it a score out of 10 of how good it thinks it is. But as you can see now, I already know the major issues or the major conversion elements of this particular offer. I've got the primary problem, I've got the desired outcome, I've got some angles and big ideas, I've got the emotional triggers, and I've got the 10 offer alternatives. Now, this is just based on one sales letter. If I really wanted to make this super tight and get an absolutely amazing offer, I would put in 5 to 10 different sales letter sequences into this. And you can do this for any niche. And once you've got that information, then you know, well, assuming you've already picked the right market, once you've got that information, then you know what your audience wants. When you know what your audience wants, you can create that winning offer that's going to allow you to sell your course without any friction. So here's a quick recap. These are the 3 non-negotiables that you need to have if you want to create $1 million course. Number 1, you need to understand the market, then you need to know your audience, and then you need to create a winning offer. And you could have the greatest course idea in the world, right? You could have the greatest content within your course, but if you don't hit these 3 criteria, it's just gonna flop. You're gonna be banging your head against the wall and you're gonna struggle to actually make it work. And so I have this concept called zero friction marketing. And the way that zero friction marketing works is that if at any point when trying to sell your course, you feel any friction, it means one of those 3 elements is broken. It means that either the market's wrong, which usually isn't the case because most of you will get the market right as long as you're in the big three. It means that the audience, you don't know your audience, you don't actually know what the urgent problems are, you don't actually know exactly what they want, or you haven't constructed it in such a way, or the offer is wrong. And if any of those things are wrong, then it's going to feel hard selling the product, right? I use like a stoplight system when I'm trying to analyze if I should continue with an offer. Like if I launch an offer and if I launch a course, and I get some sales here and there, right? But it's not like flying off the shelves. I'm not getting like notification Stripe pings every single minute. Then I'm like, that's an amber, right? I might continue with that course, but I'll probably try and fix one of the elements that are broken. If I launch this course and I get nothing, it's crickets, nobody buys from me, then I know for a fact it's one of those three things. But when you get those three things right and you launch your course, you're going to be looking at your phone every few minutes like, I need to turn this thing off, right? It's just going bing, 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 bing. It's just hitting you with all the sales over and over and over again. And you might not have experienced it yet, or maybe you have experienced it where something just clicked, maybe in another industry. But I promise you, when you get these three things right, it is so effortlessly easy. Like you talk to any of the big marketers or big course sellers, people that do 10, 15, 20 million a year, and they will tell you, it just seems like some of them don't even know why it's happening to them so easy. But when you nail these three elements, it just becomes, it's frictionless. And so anytime you feel friction at all, and you'll sense it, you'll feel like it's not quite clicking. Anytime that happens, one of these elements is broken. And I would go back and I would try. What I'm trying to get at is don't push through friction. Friction is indication that something is broken, because when you get it right, it is seamless. It is easy. Like the money just flows in. And because it's a digital course, it's got infinite scale. Affiliates start coming out of the woodwork. Like people want to promote your course. You get influencers saying, hey, can I sell your course for a commission? Can I promote your course for a commission? When I break down in one of the later episodes how I turned a $7 ebook into $13 million in sales, when I break down that process, you're going to see that a big part of it was getting these three elements right, which removed all the friction, and affiliates and other media buyers came to me wanting to sell my offer, wanting to sell my product, because they saw how good it was selling to the existing markets that I had, and they wanted to make some money from it. So many doors open for you when you get this right. But I just want you to take that on board. Zero friction marketing. Anytime you feel friction, that means something is broken. So your takeaway for today is that if your course isn't selling, or you had a launch for a course and it flopped, or you're trying to launch a course for the first time and you want to make sure that you nail it, you have to get these three-step formula. Number one is you have to understand the market. Ideally, not even ideally, be in one of the big three markets, and then make sure that people are already selling in your sub-niche. Number two, know your audience. What are the urgent problems that keep them awake at night? What are their deep desires of things that they want? How do those two things, the problems or the desires, affect their relationships? When you know your audience, then you can create a winning offer. You can use AI to identify your audience and learn more about them by studying other sales pages and other courses that are out there. But then once you create that winning offer, you create the winning offer by solving the primary problem or satisfying the primary desire that audience has in that particular niche of that particular market. And as you can see, it all kind of works together. When you get those things right, you'll be able to launch a 7-figure winning course. Now, if you want to skip the trial and error, if you don't want to do this on your own, if you want my personal one-on-one help, then go ahead and look in the instructions below, and there's instructions there for how to DM me so I can look at what you're doing, whether you're launching a course for the first time, or whether you had a course launch that flopped and you want to help fix it, or whether you just want to take your high ticket offer and add some courses in there to generate more revenue. I will personally help you build a winning course that generates anything between $20,000 and $50,000 in the first 30 days. Want more information about that? Just look below in the description of this video and drop me a DM on Instagram. So we're going to wrap this video up. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed it and got some value out of it. Go ahead and subscribe, send it to any of your friends who you think that somebody else would get value out of it as well. In this series of how to launch and scale a digital product, we've already covered in the first episode the easiest path to generating $50,000 per month as a creator. Today's episode went over how to make $1 million course. We're upcoming. Okay, so I'm going to put a little one of those end screens on a YouTube video for the video you need to watch next. That's episode 3, which we covered some of it today, but I'm going to actually take you through step by step. You're going to watch me build a course in 20 minutes using AI. Then in episode 4, which is upcoming, how to get paid to build your course, which is really cool. Episode 5, how to get 100 buyers every single day, 100 plus buyers every day. And then finally, episode 6 in the series, how I turned a $7 ebook into $13 million in sales. Okay, so that is the series, Launch and Scale a Digital Product. Go ahead and watch the next video right now. My name is Chin Gregory. God bless, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.